Vision or no vision. We were talking about this a little earlier. I wish I was, having the things to get this going, because you was on a roll with this topic of vision and no vision. Matter of fact, you the one who came with the topic of vision or no vision. I called it somebody calling someone a square and mislabeling somebody, but you gave it the
well,
perfect
basically, one of the things that I always try to tell people, when God gives you a vision, or when you have a vision or a plan, you know exactly to the letter exactly what you want or what you want to do. But the ironic thing is, when people try to give you their 2 cents on your vision, the only thing that they're giving you is their experience. Say, for example, if a woman was the type of woman that was abused, and her father abused her, and another woman, she having an issue with a guy, and the issue she's having with the guy is that this guy is over my house, girl, this dude, I don't know what to say about him. I mean, he just, he eat up all my food. He won't go to work. I'm trying to get rid of him. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get rid of him, or I'm trying to come up with a solution for him. The solution may be for her, for him to get a job. But the other woman, she's going to speak from abuse. Girl, let him go, girl. I'm telling you, if you don't let him go, you know what I'm saying, it's going to get crazy. And you said he pushed you. You said y'all got into a little confrontation. He's going to beat you every day. That's what he's going to do. Well, that's her experience. So she can only give from her experience.
Yeah.
And when you ask somebody something and you have a goal, you say, man, I want your opinion on what should I do in this business endeavor. I had this vision for this type of business. That person might be a failure. So you don't want to take other people's opinions, and you don't want to listen to other people's experience and let them get involved in your vision or where you want to go in life, because, like I said, we were talking about squares.
Yeah.
A square can't possibly look at things the way a person in the street look at it. You know what I'm saying? It's just not going to be the same. What I mean? They have two different experiences, and I'm not going to look at things the way a square look at things, because I have different experiences. So, my opinion on that is, like I said, I mean, if I was you, I wouldn't have let other people's opinion, or other people's assumptions, dictate how I'm going to carry out my mission or my vision, because, I mean, it's assuming. And, when you assume, it's just like asshole. It make an ass out of you and me.
Mm-hmm. I was more so, coming from the aspect, like the definition. How I see it is someone that's not versed with any type of street game, but a lot of people that are within various games of life, being a hustler, being a gentleman of leisure, being a gambler, for one of them to call the other that's in a different line of game a square, to me, that's not befitting of a title.
Well, I mean, square versus experience. Okay, give you an example. If I'm a street person, and I'm in the game and I'm doing certain things, naturally, I'm saying, I'm going to do it well if I have experience, if I know what I'm doing, and I've been doing it for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you take that same person who's in the game and you tell him to run a Fortune 500 company, he's going to sit up there, he's going to be looking like a square.
Yeah, okay.
But if you take the square and you put him in the game and ask him, to mash on somebody or to, put some ism down, he's going to be looking like a square.
Okay.
So every individual fits his own expertise in his own field of endeavor. It depends on what field of life you in. You know what I mean? Me personally, I'm ambidextrous. You know what I'm saying? Ambidextrous. You know what I'm saying? I can do two or three things. I can go and run a Fortune 500 company if I need to. I can go out there, and play the street game. But I always call that a hip square. I think that we all need a little square in us, and we all need a little hip in us.
Okay.
I think, if you are a square and you run across a guy and he's running a pigeon drop or a con game, and he tried to con you and he tried to sell you a dream, and you just don't know what's going on, and he's being deceptive, I think that the only way you can curtail or you can cut that from happening or cut that off or keep it from happening is that you have to have some degree of deception in you. That don't mean that you have to be deceptive, but you got to know the game to some level in order to not get played. And somebody say, if a square come up to you and say, hey, look here, He said, we're investing in real estate and we want you to become one of our investors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you put up X amount of money, you put up 80% of the investment, then you know you're going to get an 80% return. Well, any real estater, any realtor knows that in business you don't want to put up your money. You want to use the bank money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, for contingency purposes. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to make sure that if this business don't go well, then the bank will incur, you know, the debt. And you know you'll probably have bad credit, but you know at least you know you felt you had a way out,
yeah.
just in case it don't happen, and you could file some form of bankruptcy, to clear your name.
Mm-hmm.
But if a person puts a substantial amount of money up and the business don't go well, then you're just a fool.
Yeah, and so that's more like the hook and crook.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. The square would tell you that.
Yeah,
and you would think that you are the player and you got all the game, but really he just ran game on you.
Yeah.
But if you tell the square to come over here and say, man, let's play this 3-card money, or whatever, and you telling him that we're gonna win the money, and then y'all end up putting him in the okie doke, then it's the opposite effect. See what I'm saying? But both effects are based on. So who is the square? Is he the square? But you could beat him in the 3-card Monty, or is you the square because he could beat you in the real estate game and convince you to put up a majority of your money. That's a bad way of doing business.
Yeah.
So you just have to understand whatever whatever the game I was playing that would determine where we at with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now another thing, like I said, we spoke on it before, but it was a part of a whole nother bigger topic. But to me, I see it with this younger generation. People going off how can I say it? Looking at somebody like this is how they're supposed to be for the rest of their lives. And you touched on it when you said, when you stop doing this, you go back to civilian life. That doesn't mean it makes you lesser. It just means you're in a different lane now.
Absolutely. That's like I said, a person, who sell drugs, say if you were selling, 10 keys a day and you decide to stop, okay, and the person in the streets, he say, well, look, man, I need you to make one more move for me. You know what I'm saying? And you say, no, I'm not in the game no more. If you're not strong and you don't have self-confidence, then you might be apt to go and sell that 2 or 3 ounces, but that 2 or 3 ounces may be the thing that brings you down.
Yeah.
See, a lot of times, I tell brothers all the time, I say, look here, man. I said, man, when you get some money and you get, a bunch of money, then you want to go into civilian life. Nobody sell dope or nobody hustle to stay in the game. Because the dope game is the worst game ever. Because if I'm selling an 8-ball, if you sell me an 8-ball and I get caught the 8-ball and I tell the guy that gave me the 8-ball, he getting 2 ounces, and he telling the guy that gave him 2 ounces, that guy got half a key, then he telling the guy that got half a key, eventually they tell on the big man. That's how you get a conspiracy. And the feds say it all the time. They say that 90% of their cases is solved through informants, not through hard work, old-fashioned investigation. They'll have to investigate. So, that's the dumbest game in the world. So, anybody that's really hustling, unless they're addicted to hustling, they want to get in and get out. They want to go back into civilian life. They want to get out the game. They don't want to, it's the same thing with pimping. If you're lucky enough to pimp up on $1 million, why would you continue pimping when you know that there's many things that can happen to you? One, you can catch AIDS. 2, a brother could get out of prison, or a father get out of prison and kill you for having their daughter out there. The girl can snitch on you. There's so many ways to go down. And the police work 24/7. You only can sleep 8 hours. You gotta sleep at least 5 to 8 hours a day. While you sleep, they still working. So the object of the game has always been get in, get out. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't get out, eventually you're gonna get caught. Like I said, I had a friend, that was when I was in the federal penitentiary about 30 years ago. One of my partners, he come through, and I said, man, how they catch you up? He said, man, I was out the game, man. I was living in Atlanta, man. I had a new Benz, new crib, man, beautiful woman, a new baby. He said, man, and one of my partners called me from Milwaukee, man, asked me could I hook him up. He said he came down, the federal agents came down with him. He said they was in Magic City, they was sitting at the bar, and dude like, yeah, man, I know get 2 keys, get 2 keys, that's all he did. Because he was still addicted to the game. He wanted to make one more score. You know, he was addicted to, you know, that power that it gives you when you that nigga, you know what I'm saying, you that head nigga in charge, and you know, you got that work, you moving, and that's where you get your respect from. You know what I mean? If you ain't hustling, you in civilian life, don't nobody care nothing about you. You know, you washed up like, you know, everything else. So, you know, he wanted to bust that last move, and he thought he could trust that person. And the people that he was talking to was the FBI. He ended up getting 30 years in the federal penitentiary. He did 18 years before he came home. So I try to tell all these young people, man, you know what I mean, man, you know, when you get your money, you know what I'm saying, I got a chapter in my book, Pimp Policy, that says turn them hoe ends into dividends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you get your money, man, you get out the game, you move around. Because if you stay in the game, eventually you're going to be consumed by the game. You know what I mean? It just you live by the sword, you die by the sword type of concept. Yeah. So, you know, I try to tell young people all the time, you know, I mean, I know guys, and I'm pretty sure you know guys that used to be in the game. You see them driving the Range Rovers, the Benz. You know, now they own the, you know, the alternative living. You know what I mean? They own the daycares. You know, some of these guys, you know, they own the cell phone companies. You know what I'm saying? They still out there. They still living. And you like, man, so-and-so's still on top of his game. Because he flipped the game and he took the money, he invested it. And that's what we got to do. We got to invest our money, man. We have to go from the game to civilian life. You know what I mean? We have to switch up. Otherwise, you know what I mean, if you think you're going to get up and you're going to get in that car, you're going to keep wearing them Robin jeans, them new Jordans and those Pellies and all that type of stuff, them minks, and you know, them people ain't going to pick gang or one of them little boys that you hustling with, man, that you thought was, you know, he might be the one that doing all the killing. He might got 9 bodies on him, but, you know, once they catch him, so did Sammy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, as soon as they catch him, man, they going to offer him stuff. And that's why a lot of people, you know, you see people reckless and doing crazy stuff, you should always question them. They'll be the ones that, you know, put you under the bus first, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, civilian life ain't nothing wrong with it, man. You know, man, all my businesses, you know what I'm saying, I mean, you know, it's square, you know? And I talk to Squares every day, man. I'm on the phone with Squares, you know. I mean, Walmart is one of my buyers and one of my suppliers, you know what I'm saying? Target is one of my buyers and one of my suppliers, you know what I'm saying? But hey, they this here. They Squares a food table and taxes agreement. I get on the phone with them and I negotiate with them. Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, all the people I deal with is Squares.
Yeah, Square business.
What people don't realize when you go buy the Robin jeans, you buying it from a Square, but that Square pimping the shit out of you. He charging you $500 for some jeans. That dude charging you $10,000 for some rims. Hey man, why would rims cost $10,000? They ain't nothing but some steel and some rubber. You know, why would it be $10,000? Because it's got the name Ashante on it. It got the name Ruchis or whatever you call them things. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. You know, Forgiatos. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? What? Please, man. Freeze me with that mess.
Too cool to come 24/7.